This is another really good question that's come up multiple times from multiple people on the site relative to, I'm afraid that the way you're showing me change of directions is going to get me into a reverse weight shift. First of all, we got to understand something. If you're thinking about weight shift, you're in trouble, because we're not moving necessarily body mass, you're moving force. So weight shift is this. Okay, this is, I'm shifting weight or body mass like this. Well, the reality is I don't do any of this in my golf swing. I'm not shifting weight. What I'm doing is I'm creating force into my right foot, then force into my left foot, and pushing back. Now, if I push back enough, I'll have force in my left foot, and at some point in time, as the club goes around, if I keep pushing back, where would my weight come or my force come? Back to my right foot. Well, Nicholas had a decent career, and he hit pretty much every shot like this. He'd set up, he'd do his little deal, and he'd go, and he'd rock backwards. Okay, so he put force into his right foot, force into his left foot, and then this leg stabilized and pushed away from the club so much, and he kept pushing back away from it. That's why his head moved back. That's why his club was so shallow, and that's why he could hit it so high. Now, he pushed back this way so hard that what happened was he was like this, and this didn't really kick in to push him forward, and he really didn't care, because he'd move force into his left foot and he'd hit it. Now, once he's gone like this here and he's pushing back, he's got force in his left foot. He didn't care if he rocked backwards. Reverse weight shift is when your body mass goes this way and goes this way. Yeah, you're right, that's terrible. But when I'm standing up here to hit a ball and I start working on, is my arms are going back, my body's going forward. See, my arms are going here. I'm still putting pressure or force into my right foot. See, I'm putting pressure in my right foot. So my right hip's moving away. It's moving back this way, and the club's going that way. But there's still pressure in my right foot. As long as there's pressure in my right foot to right here, as long as it doesn't do this, and pressure move immediately up to my left foot. If I move pressure into my right foot, then my left foot, you're fine. Even if you go right, left, and you fall back this way. I'm 10 times better off with that than I am people that do this. And move forward on it. There's one particular group that teaches this, because they want you to shift your weight and walk through. Well, if that's your task, to walk through, most people, for most players, what that's going to do from back in here, you're going to change directions like this, because you're trying to move your body mass forward to move forward. All that's going to do is get you further and further out ahead of the ball with less and less rotation and less speed low and to the right. So again, reverse weight shift starts with the concept that you're shifting weight, which I'm not. So I'm not shifting weight. I'm not hitting a golf ball like this. Now, there was a guy I worked with that wanted me to do that, and I tried it for a while. It was really difficult. Didn't help me much. I didn't hit it very far. So I'm not moving weight like this. Again, I'm moving force into my right foot, force into my left foot, stabilize and push back away. Right, left, push away. Right, left, push away. Right, left, push away. And if you start doing that, and that's how I throw a ball, that's how I hit a tennis ball, that's how I hit a baseball. The big thing here, again, we kind of got brainwashed with terms that meant weird stuff. Now, tour players, when they said they shift weight from right to left, we're talking about what I just did. What they move force from right to left, but they felt like they were moving weight. Even back in the 70s, they had scales that they put players on, weight scales. And at the top of it, and they weighed them at address. So let's say somebody weighs 100 pounds. So the guy would go back to the top of his swing, and they'd stop the camera at the top of his swing, which there is no top, but in this position. So they'd stop it, and they'd look at the scale, the number, and he had 90% of he had 180 pounds of his 200 pounds on this foot. And then they'd make a swing, and at impact, they'd also take a picture of the scale. And the scale were really high-speed scales that would pick up weight transfer, is what they called it. And at impact, he had 80 to 90% of his weight in his left foot. So you got this weight shift thing. So everybody's trying to get all their weight on their right foot and all their foot on the left. Now I'm being devil's advocate here. I can make a swing and do this. So I can make a backswing and lift my left foot off the ground and hit it. And if I was on a weight scale and I'm 200 pounds, that would read 100% of my weight was on my right foot at the top of the swing. 100%. 100%, because all I did was, I lift this foot off the ground, so where's all my weight? Whatever my body weighs, all that force is in this foot. That doesn't mean that I did this. See, so it was force and force. But we talked about it in weight shift. So people were trying to get 100% of their weight on their right foot, or 90 back here and 90% of their weight up here. So what do you start doing? You start swaying. And then somebody says, oh, you're swaying, don't sway, keep your head still. Now your body's really confused because you're trying to shift weight and keep your head still and don't sway. I mean, those words, that's, the confusion factor in that is astronomical. So again, weight shift is a bad term. You're learning how to put force. If somebody was tug of war, if somebody was pulling the club this way and I'm pushing away from it, I'm using this foot to push away from that, there's a lot of force here. Okay, I'm not leaning into my left foot. They're pulling this way, I'm pushing here. And as the club comes around here, wherever that club is, I'm constantly pushing away from the momentum of the club. So wherever it's going, the centripetal force that it's creating, I'm constantly going the opposite direction. That's what makes me stay centered and keeps my head still, not me keeping my head still physically. That's another one of these top 10 worst things you could ever try to do, keep your head still. I may do a video for the site about the 6, 8, or 10 worst concepts in the history of golf that have ruined more people than anything. And it's not that they maybe don't happen, but as a task, as a main task, which weight shift would be one of them, they've absolutely destroyed people because they're so confusing and so difficult to do relative to what you think you're trying to do with them. It's incredible. So, no weight shift, move force, you're not going to reverse weight shift. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for regular updates and tips. Thanks for watching.